You got the touch. It's Friday. It's Transformers weekend. It's the 9th day of June 2023. That's still not Big B. We don't know who this gnome is, but it's still not Big B, which means it's time to take a look at all the Friday tabletop role-playing game news that is continuing the ongoing soap opera of the OGL January 2023 Trash Fire Panic, where a bunch of old gamers decided to fight really, really hard to make sure that all you new gamers who constantly talk crap about us are going to be able to still play the game you love. So, do we have any updates from Paizo on the ORC? Do we have any updates from Kobold Press on Tales of the Valiant? And do we have any updates from Wizards of the Coast of One D&D? Even though Jeremy Crawford has informed us it's not One D&D, and it was never supposed to be One D&D, even though it's still being called One D&D in every press release and posting. Because Jeremy. All right, Paizo, what's new? Let's take a look at your page. Shall we? Anything? They're kickstarting the new comic book thing and some collectible cards and some non-collectible cards. So I guess they're doing cards now? What is this? Let's take a look. Are we interested in this? I don't know. Let's share screen. Paizo community blog. Okay. So we knew about the comic book. This is the one they're doing with Dynamite. You could tell because it's got the Dynamite characters down here, Jungle Girl and Vampy. Very first Starfinder rookie card. So these are cards like baseball cards based upon Starfinder characters. Racing towards his first gold. Rookie card for all the backers. Backers will receive it. Pathfinder core rulebook PDF. Starfinder core rulebook PDF. Pathfinder Beastry PDF, Starfinder Alien Archive PDF. Do we have any more information on this card? No, it just says if you back it and they reach a certain Kickstarter level, they will send you out this rookie card, but we don't have any other information on it. This is a one-time thing. Going to be doing more or less. I guess it's sort of as a parody of baseball cards. Like, I guess, the idea of famous bounty hunters would have cards in the future, kind of like, the wizard cards from Harry Potter, I guess. I don't know. Really, I think we're more interested in what's going on with the ORC, right? That's what we're interested in. So let's see if there's anything new in the ORC, except the page doesn't want to work. So, of course not. Okay. They're also kickstarting a GM screen. No one cares. We've got some information regarding the future of Pathfinder and Starfinder, like the elimination of the Drow, even though Dark Elves stat block will still be in the Player's Handbook. Mind you, in the current Pathfinder 2nd Edition Player's Handbook that I have a copy of, there's no mention of Dark Elf stat block. There's one reference to Drow in the traits section, but if you go to the weapons traits section, they're not there. It says elf, like, this weapon is favored by elf. But yeah, no. So even though they say the stat block from Pathfinder 2 2nd Edition will still be in Pathfinder Remastered Core 2nd Edition Upgrade Infinity Electric Boogaloo or whatever it's called, there's no stat block for Drow. So whatever they're going to be called, they don't exist. There is the Cavern Elf. So maybe that's what they're referring to. Of course, the only thing the Cavern Elf gets is Dark Vision. So I don't know. Anyways, anything new on the ORC? We know the third draft is out there. It's ready. It's thinging. It's migrating. People are commenting on it. The two main concerns still seem to be, will there be a morality censorship clause? And what does this viral downstreaming mean in regards to my copyrighted IP and how much money I can or cannot make? So I think I have a general understanding of the viral downstreaming thing. I think we've tried to explain it. I don't know if I've explained it very well, but we'll try again. Okay, so I make a product for game. So that starts at the top of the stream. Either I make my own game or I make a product for game. So that starts my stream. And my product contains new math and rules and stuff. And then as it floats downstream to you, and you decide that you're going to make something based upon my thing, there are things from my thing you can use and things from my thing you can't use. But if you downstream from me and then make your own theme, you don't have to give me any money. You don't even apparently have to give me a lot of credit. You just have to say, yeah, I am borrowing from this that's come downstream virally to me, and I've made this. And then as it goes downstream further, some other guy can be able to make a thing off of my thing, which is make stuff off Mike's thing. But again, I can make money, but I don't have to give Mike any money. And I don't have to say whether, other than a general, yeah, I borrowed this from the OGGM. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but that seems to be the way it reads. As in regards to the morality clause, it seems to read, if you make something for game that might contain things that people find offending or problematic, whether that be hateful language or titolese or whatever, it's okay. But if you make things for Pathfinder 2nd edition remastered core volume 2, The Empire Strikes Back, and it contains problematic words or titolese or whatever, then maybe Pathfinder Paizo can censor that because they don't want their brand to be associated with no words or no ideas. Maybe. I don't know. Seems to be the way it reads, but I could be wrong. I'm sure one of those RPG lawyer types have made a video about it. So I highly recommend you check out RPG Lawyer or Grim to see what they think, because they're smarter than me. All right, moving on to Tales from the Valiant. This one's kind of exciting, I guess, if you're following the Tales from the Valiant soap opera. They have released some characters, so we get a general idea of what these things are going to look like. We have 4 characters. If they look strangely familiar, okay, we've got Senno Foch. Senno Foch. She's a daughter of Artemis. She is ushered from birth to service of the goddess under this full moon. She took her faith at a night blooming jasmine and blah, blah, blah. Her wondrous mystical childhood ended abruptly under a lunar eclipse. A vampire baroness attacked the temple, killing her beloved mother and family. And the temple stood, but the priestesses were felled by spirit. So she's a druid? Cleric. Let's take a look at her sheet. We can download these. All right. So this is the character sheet. Senno Foch. She is a 3rd level cleric of the war domain. She has 900 experience points. She's a human. Her lineage is Grove, and her heritage is adherent, because remember, we are getting rid of race or whatever they're called. Now we have lineages and heritage. Stats look exactly the same as ever. Skills look exactly the same as 5e. Nothing new here. Initiative. We have luck now, which has replaced insight. We have passive perception and passive insight. We've got armor class, looks the same. Hit points look the same. Death saves look the same. Exhaustion look the same. She's got her tools here. Her weapon proficiencies here. Her language is here. She's got a language called Void. She's got her Ritualist Arcana talent, which I guess replaces Fates. She's got the stuff that she's carrying, which pretty much looks right out of copy and pasted from backgrounds from D&D. She's got some stuff for being an elf. She's got her class abilities and her channel divinity abilities. She's got her abilities, her background. We've got her age, height, weight, adventuring motivation, additional features. She's got the war domain. She's a display, just stuff. She's got a moon steel scythe that also gives every page that this stuff's from. Her spells are guidance, resistance, and spare the dying. Divine favor, shield of faith, bless, command, cure wounds, detect evil good, protection, evil good, sanctuary, shield of faith, unseen servant, detect poison, disease, purify food and drink. magic weapon, spiritual weapon, aid, comma, motion, G. I mean, this is just literally copy and paste from Wizards and D&D 5e. So, I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts anymore that this is going to be any and all different from 5e. They've even used 5e names. Now, I guess we could claim that, well, 5e doesn't hold the copyright to words like gentle repose or hold person or lesser restoration or unseen servant. But then if you're using divine favor, shield of faith, cure wounds, and all these other words that we associate with Dungeons and Dragons, why can't you use Dro? Dro is not copyright. Wizards of the Coast does not own Dro, Tales from the Valiant. They do not own the images of Dro. So all those scantily clad elf pictures or Sylvanas from Warcraft or whatever elf, the 30 some odd years of Drizzt and Dark Elves and Dark Elves with Bobalese and whatever. They Wizards of the Coast doesn't control that imagery. They have no copyright. They control Drizzt, and they control the lore around Drizzt. They control Mesobaranzan. That's all theirs. But Dro Elf, no, they don't. So you can still have them. And if you're going to use all this other stuff that is directly from D&D, but then say you're dropping Dro because you don't want to be confused with the lore of D&D, though that sort of makes no sense to me, because really I'm looking at this, and if I didn't know I was looking at a character record sheet for another game, yeah, okay, here's my cleric for my 5e game coming up, because it looks exactly like a cleric from a 5e game. There's nothing different other than the name and luck. You changed insight for luck. Now we've got heritage and background. Okay, I guess that might be slightly different, but since we don't know what it's going to look like on the D&D, it might not be. And of course, they got rid of alignment, I guess, and replaced it with something which apparently I got wrong when I talked about it. But we're waiting to see more on that before we talk about it again. So yeah, are you going to download these characters? I mean, I guess, they're 5e characters. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. A lot of people are going to talk crap about it. But remember, the idea behind Tales for the Valiant is not to take over D&D 5e, not to make you want to dump 5e or whatever. It's to make sure there is still 5e product in place when Wizards of the Coast inevitably says we're no longer making 5e, and whatever it is that we just made in 2024 is not 5e. It's a wholly separate new thing, which is why you have to buy brand new books, and we're not going to make 5e compatible product anymore. Tales from the Valiant can say, we're still making 5e product under our system, so you can use 5e and our crap, or you can use Tales from the Valiant and our product. Send me free product. Tales from the Valiant. And finally, we have what's new with One D&D, which of course we know is not supposed to be called One D&D anymore. It was never supposed to be called One D&D anymore. It is still called One D&D and is referred to as One D&D in all the inter-office memos that I occasionally get copies of because I'm a shareholder. So Crawford, what are you talking about? Was it just another unnecessary 40 minutes of Crawford patting himself on the back to tell us that it was never meant to be called One D&D? Fine. What's it supposed to be called? Give it a name. Is it 5th edition revised? Is it 5th edition expanded? Is it new 5e? Is it 5e now? I kind of like that one. Is it 5e evolved? I kind of like that one. Are you just going to call it Unearthed Arcana? Well, no, because we have to buy a brand new player's handbook, brand new DM's guide, and brand new monster manual. Not sure why we have to buy those, but you are making them. And we have to buy them, and you are making sure that if we want them, we have to get the digital first. But yeah, nothing new, nothing changed. The surveys are closed for Player's Handbook Playtest Volume 5. They assured us that they're not going to be making any more playtests, except, of course, they are going to be making more playtests because they didn't like the answers that we gave on the survey in regards to rogues, or experts as they're now called, and druids. So Wizards of the Coast blatantly admitting that they wanted a very specific answer, just like they did with every other survey, if you were paying attention. Didn't get the answer they wanted in regards to rogue, so they'll be adding them to the new survey, the survey they said they weren't going to make. And apparently they wanted a very specific answer to druids. Didn't get that. So they're going to be making a new survey with the druids on it again, some changes, because despite the fact that we claimed we wanted druids in a specific way, when they made the druids in a specific way, turns out no, we didn't want druids that way. In fact, it looks like people wanted druids to go a completely different direction. Remember all those people who were complaining about the owlbear in the D&D movie? Apparently none of them actually played 5e. Because when the 5e players were surveyed about the druid and specifically about the new build, they were like, no, this is not what we want. This is dumb. Well, I guess Wizards of the Coast in their infinite wisdom is just going to do a brand new survey, which they said they weren't going to do for One D&D, even though it's not called One D&D, that will cover the rogue and the druid. And maybe we'll finally get to see what the new monsters are going to look like. And maybe we'll finally get to see what, if anything, they're changing in the DM's guide, because they swear they're adding new stuff, not just art, in the next playtest. Do we care? Well, I'm sure somebody out there cares about what Wizards of the Coast is doing with D&D. I think the rest of us have completely given up. But it's fun to talk about. And wasn't it nice? The lady from the Kickstarter for Abomination Vaults reached out to me. Maybe they'll send me a free copy. That'd be fun, right? We could run through Abomination Vaults. Now, I have been contacted by an insider over at Critical Role to clarify what's going on with Candela Obscura. So yeah, that'll be our next video. So you can't talk crap about me anymore talking about Candela Obscura with somebody from Candela Obscura has reached out and sent me some information. So suck it. So that's it. Are we excited about any of this? The only one I'm kind of interested in is for you guys, Tales from the Valiant. Since it does seem to be trying to be the second retro clone for 5e. It'll be interesting to see when the 5e debacle of next year happens, who will get the majority of the disappointed 5e players. Will it be Level Up 5e, which has been around since, I don't know, forever? Will it be Tales from the Valiant? Or will it be the rumored, will we finally see it, Dagger to the Heart? Thank you, Unscripted and Unchained, for that word. I stole it, and then other people stole it from me. So yeah, if you want to know who started calling it Dagger to the Heart first, it was DM Bloodworth, not me. Then I used it, then somebody else used it, and now everybody's calling it Dagger to the Heart instead of Dagger Heart. So which one of those is going to be the one that people flock to next year when we see whatever it is that Wizards of the Coast is doing with the unnamed D20 fantasy product that is no way, shape, and form inspired by Gygax? If you want to play the game that's really the legacy of Gygax, either just find a copy of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and play that, or go over to Troll Lord Games and pick up Castles and Crusades, because they're always doing huge packages where you can get all the stuff on PDF for like $100, or you can get the copy of a rules for Castles and Crusades for free, the true legacy of Gygax, unless you can prove me wrong, which you probably can, because I'm an idiot. Don't listen to me. It's Friday. Maybe the sun will come out. Have a great weekend. We will be back shortly with the rest of the tabletop role-playing game news that doesn't directly involve anything with Wizards of the Coast, which means we're probably going to have to talk about Delta Green. Till then, see ya. Drive safe. It's raining.